So if you haven't seen my last video about if you can survive in Germany on 1,000 euros a month, you can pause this, check it out, and come back. Now let's flip the script here and talk about how do you make that money as a student. So here's how I actually made more than 1,000 euros a month consistently while studying in Germany in the past 5 to 6 years. Let's dive right in. Let's start with Minijobs, aka the entry-level hustle. In 2025, the mini-job earnings limit is at 556 euros a month, thanks to the minimum wage raise. That's around 43 hours maximum per month, or around 10 hours per week. My first mini-job was actually at a trampoline park, which was super fun, to be honest. Literally jumping around all day, yelling in German at 100 plus people to follow safety rules. It forced me to practice public speaking since I had to do these safety briefings. So I was practicing my German, and even though it was nerve-wracking, it definitely had these hidden benefits for me. Oh, and I learned how to backflip during that time, which was also quite cool. Other popular mini jobs include restaurants and cafes. Probably harder work, but easier to find jobs there. Also retails and sales, where customer service paying is included, free of charge. Also delivery jobs, like usually on bikes. It's free cardio, but definitely not the nicest. And there are so much more, so don't think these are the only categories, just some popular examples off the top of my head. To get those, check online, of course. There are a ton of websites like Indeed, Stepstone, Glassdoor, even LinkedIn, etc. And sometimes just go and ask upfront in person. It worked once for me, even though there was no posting officially. Just show up with motivation and that you could help them out, and there's a good chance they'll remember you if they ever need someone. Let's move on to kurzfristige Beschäftigungen, aka short-term employment, or what I like to call quick cash gigs. If you want to turbocharge your income, these short-term contracts, maximum of 70 days per year, pay usually more. A popular thing is helping out with some event management / hosting. So for example, I was involved in the BMW Open and also the Euro Cup in 2024. Pay is better, usually around like 20 euros an hour, sometimes with free food and drinks. I remember I once checked in German celebrities without even knowing who they were during the BMW Open for the after party. Sorry, I don't want Germany's next top model. And during the Euro Cup, we were in a building with journalists for a week, which was also quite cool to talk to them and see them editing their material, and we only had to serve them water / soft drinks, and also just answering basic questions occasionally about the venue, and that was like 20% of the time, and I cashed in around 1,000 euros working the whole week, even though I spent 80% of the remaining time studying for my exams, sitting at the reception. So there are really hidden perks with these jobs sometimes, and it's always a mystery. And I also had a free lunch every day that was super good. But of course, I also had rough shifts where I just wanted to sleep and my legs were numb after catering for 6 hours in a more dynamic environment. So you win some, you lose some. And you can always also connect with the other people there on the shifts with you, usually other students. And one time I was helping with catering for a local management consulting company where everyone dresses up super nicely and you can barely understand their Bavarian accent, and they go all out on their events, and they had really good food that we could also eat afterwards. And one senior manager was chatting with me and gave me his email if I ever wanted to do an internship there. So you can definitely use these random scenarios and interactions to your benefit. And people often overlook these things, so remember, it's not always about the direct monetary benefits only. So you might be asking yourself, how do I get these jobs? Sign up with agencies like Colorbirds, Blaumont, Follow Red, O-Team. I'm not sponsored, but if an agency is watching, then hit me up. I've tried all of them and also some other ones that I can't remember. It's a bit harder in the beginning, but once you do one job with them and they know you, they'll spam your inbox with offers. I would suggest to just email them that you are interested and maybe insert a so-called set card. That always helps. Basically like a 1/2-sided printed card that informs them in a small overview of your age, height, some pictures, etc. You can look up some examples online. I also use ZenJob for these kind of side jobs, aka Nebenjobs in German, but it's generally paid lower and you might get less exciting jobs, setting up stages or some inventory management. But depending on availability, you can cycle through these different agencies that I mentioned, and please look for more. And if you know any, then also comment down below. Let's move on to full-time internships. If you can afford to take a semester off or you have minimal workload during a specific semester, you can check out my video about if Tom helped me land a job in FANG. There I touched on the flexibility of German universities in general and how that's obviously helpful as a student, so check it out if you haven't. So in those semesters where your workload is at a minimum, then full-time internships are great. They pay around 1,500 euros a month, all the way up to 3,000 plus euros a month, depending on the industry and role. From my experience for tech-oriented roles, I remember I got a little bit more than 1,500 a month. Also consulting roles, for example, example, in the big three. Maybe you've heard of the MBB acronym. I know people who interned at McKinsey and got 3,000 plus euros a month, but with longer hours than usual. But if you know the big three, then you also know the benefits and downsides of management and strategic consulting. Also, it depends if it's a big tech company or a typical German company, and the rates differ, to be honest, but there are good sites like Kununu or Glassdoor or Levels FYI. Again, not sponsored, but do take a look and perhaps you will find some details. Let's move on to Werkstudent or working student jobs, aka the ultimate student grind. This is where you make real money while staying within student tax benefits. From experience, pay can be around 15 all the way to 25 plus euros per hour. For tech-oriented roles like software engineering, data science, I've seen those, and also for finance jobs like investment banking, M&A, I've also heard of 20 plus in some companies. The best strategy: work full-time and semester breaks as a working student, because you typically get paid more since it's by the hour, not a monthly check. So if you get 20 euros per hour multiplied by 40 hours a week times an average of 4 weeks, you're looking at 3,200 euros a month. This is brutto, of course, but it's still crazy good as a student. But I have to say this is more typical if you are in your master's with a little bit more experience, like perhaps you do web or app development, or you're a real finance bro and eat LBOs and DCFs for breakfast. Another tip is use internship experience to get a working student job later. So maybe do a 3 to 6 month internship and then continue as a working student. It's more lucrative typically as a working student, and companies know that, so sometimes that's the path you'd follow. But actually I've gotten most of my working student jobs without a prior internship, but just keep it in mind. Also, pro tip, you can negotiate pay raises after a few months. I did after 6 months in one of my working student jobs and got an additional 2 euros per hour, which does add up. So always ask, don't be scared, but of course show you can provide value first. My first working student job was before COVID. It was in 2019, and it was around 13 euros per hour, which was considered not bad back then, but now you can expect like 15 euros almost everywhere in 2025. I did a lot of different ones, and honestly there are many opportunities. Done jobs in software engineering, product management, IT consulting, management consulting, HR consulting, you name it. There are lots of opportunities, to be honest, so it's a matter of looking and keeping your eye out for these opportunities. Bonus tip, at the TUM or at universities in general, you can work as a EV or like a research assistant or teaching assistant. I've done both actually, working as a tutor for small groups for a course and also helping behind the scenes at another chair at TUM. And the upside to those jobs is that it's a stable job, but they always pay a fixed rate and it's usually lower than the industry. And if you have a finished bachelor's degree, you usually also get paid more. So for master students, for example. Also, the salaries are usually publicly available for you to see, and there are websites from the university typically advertising these kinds of jobs. Or how I got mine was after finishing a specific course and you typically perform well and show interest, you can just talk to the people running the course, or they message you if you have good grades, etc. That's actually how I know most people got their jobs at uni. Bonus, combining jobs for maximum profits. If you're feeling ambitious, combine a working student job with a short-term employment contract. So for example, you could be working as a working student 20 hours a week at 15 euros per hour, so that equates to around 1,200 euros per month, brutto of course, and then combined with a short-term employment contract, you can easily increase your salary per month. But keep in mind, in that case, you would need to work on evenings or weekends for your short-term employment contract if it's within the semester period, to be on the safe side, to keep your student privilege of paying lower social contributions and taxes. And there are probably other smart combinations, so let me know down below if you have done any. Typically, your working student job would be in the tax class 1, aka Steuerklasse 1, and the short-term opportunity in the 6th, which is higher taxed. So there you have it, how I consistently made over 1,000 euros per month as a student in Germany working various jobs, and I've tried quite a bit. So I also encourage you to try, because sometimes you think you might like being an investment analyst, for example, but until you try it, it will be more of a hunch. And also trying different things makes you appreciate jobs you've never worked before, and perhaps you've underestimated some and can be more grateful to the retail customer service in the future. So tell me, how would you structure your studies with these options in Germany? Drop a comment, let's discuss, and I do my best to reply to every single one. Like and subscribe for more. I appreciate your support and see you in the next one.